you just think about for a second what this would have been like as a human? Think about what it was like before we went to the moon. Can you imagine, like, obviously you tune in, like, I can't believe it wasn't more than 500 million people. Everyone should have been tuned in to watch the moon landing. Can you imagine how exciting that would be?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that'd be fucking so exciting now. Like,
it's the first place we've ever gone to outside of the planet. That's pretty interesting shit right there.
And actually, like, landed on it with our own 2 feet.
Yeah, imagine how exciting that would be.
That's craziness. Oh, I know. That'd be like Super Bowl times a million.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Tuesday.
Going up on the Tuesday.
So today on Talk Tuesday, we're talking about space. We're talking about Mars. We're talking about some really trippy ideas and a brand new discovery that has been made. But before I get into that, I have a couple of just little announcements for you. First announcement is I am trying to get back into my second channel. It is now called Mile Higher Life, and there is a new video on there where I really opened up to you guys, talked about some really personal stuff, explained all of the health issues I've been having, and yeah. I'm gonna link that below so you can go check it out and subscribe if you haven't already. And the second thing is I have 6 doctor's appointments in the next 2 weeks scattered with different specialists all over Colorado. So I will not be posting this Thursday, and I also won't be posting next Tuesday, but that's because I'm doing a double feature next week, which if you didn't see my last one on OJ, it's gonna be 2 videos still, but they'll be released this same night next Thursday. And it's gonna be a really good one. It's on a case that means a lot to me. I've been following it for a really long time. I'm very invested in it, and so I'm really looking forward to working on that for you guys. So yeah, if you haven't heard that I've been struggling, there's a video that explains why I've been like uploading inconsistently and just what's been going on. And also, the last thing I want to say is I'm going to be posting my crystal collection video to that channel. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to post, it's not just gonna be vlogs, it's just gonna be more Kendall Rae content and more obviously stuff with Josh. Maybe we'll do challenges, that type of thing. In the next week, I'm going to be posting my crystal collection, which I have a lot of crystals, and I am really excited to share them with you guys. But anyway, let's get into talking about Mars, shall we? I'm sure a lot of you know this, but this summer in July, Italian scientists from the European Space Agency announced their discovery of a body of water on Mars.
The search for life on Mars very much alive. A group of Italian scientists believes they found a lake, a mile under the planet's south pole surface.
Now this is really crazy because there's been a lot of debate over the years about whether or not there is life on Mars or if there was at one point. Now, I talk about this kind of stuff on my podcast. I don't know how much I've shared here, but I personally really do think that there could have been a civilization on Mars, that Mars could have once been very similar to Earth, and there's actually a ton of experts that believe that as well. There's radiation in Mars that gives us an idea that there could have been some type of nuclear war or something like that that destroyed it, but there's a lot of interesting things about the idea of Mars being just like Earth at one point. So basically what they're saying is they've discovered not only like a little dribble of water, they found a lake. And this is not the first time we've discovered water on Mars, but this is the first time that we have proof of there being a body of water, a big body of water. And this is actually under the surface of Mars. Back in 2011, they did discover water on Mars.
It's the strongest evidence yet of water on Mars. NASA scientists have announced the possible discovery of salty water on the surface of Mars.
They actually saw these like dark streaks in the slopes. Using a space imaging tool, scientists were then able to see light waves from the streaks, and that's how they confirmed that there is water flow. Then in 2013, NASA's Curiosity rover made a discovery of atmospheric water in the soil of Mars.
Making a major discovery on Mars, Corey Powell, editor-at-large, Discover Magazine, with us for some funky things. This is our funky things segment today. Good morning to you, Corey.
I'm always happy to do funky.
I got you. We have 2 images here. The first one is actually the Mars rover.
Right.
It's been up there for a year, right? One year anniversary about a week ago.
Right. I just celebrated its first year on Mars.
Gotcha.
That's where the robot was digging into the Mars dirt. Part of what it was sent there to do is to dig down, take some samples of Mars dirt, put it in a little oven inside, cook that stuff to 1,500 degrees, and basically see what comes out. Find out what Mars is made
and
of.
so what did it find in that dust?
Turns out that that dry Mars dust is full of water. It's about 2% water. So if you just took 1 cubic foot of Mars dust and cooked it, you get about 2 pints of water out of it.
So now this big discovery that there's like a fucking lake is obviously a huge step from like streaks and moisture in the soil. This is a pretty groundbreaking discovery and very interesting. So basically it's a body of water that's underneath their polar ice caps. And they discovered that this water is actually salty like the ocean. And this explains why it's not completely frozen. Obviously it's very cold up there where the polar ice caps are on Mars. But this thing is 12.5 miles long. And scientists haven't been able to figure out exactly how deep it is, but they think it's at least a meter deep. And this body of water starts about 0.9 miles below the surface of Mars's southern ice cap. So you can kind of see it in this radar image. You know, you see the surface on top, and then there's ice and dust, and then at the bottom there's like, it's kind of lights up blue, and that's what they think is the liquid water. And one thing to note about this that makes it different from any other discovery is that scientists say that this is a stable body of water, a lake. They didn't say it melted from somewhere. They didn't have some other explanation for it. They think it's a lake. So when was this discovery made and how was it made? Obviously they announced it just this summer, but this discovery was made using an instrument called MARIS. I think I'm saying it wrong, between 2012 and December of 2015. And it's basically a tool that's positioned hundreds of kilometers above the surface of Mars in the European Space Agency's Mars Express spacecraft. So it never comes close to the surface of the planet. Basically what it does is send electromagnetic radar waves toward the center of the planet to examine the surface of the planet. When the waves go from one material to the next, ice to rock for example, and then it's bounced back up to the instrument. It picked up the body of water by sending back a different type of radar signal. And this allowed scientists to analyze the different waves to figure out what type of material is there below the surface. So what does this tell us? Well, interestingly enough, if you didn't know, we actually do have underground lakes here on Earth. For example, we have a lot of them in Greenland and Antarctica. And on Earth, there are tiny little microorganisms that live in this water. That microbial life is able to live in the dark. Obviously it's dark underneath the ice, and it's also freezing. So they're able to withstand this type of environment. So why couldn't something else do it on Mars? However, shockingly, most scientists are not convinced that this shows us that there was life on Mars. A lot of them believe that since the water is so salty and cold, it would be pretty hard to survive in. But it does allow them to now kind of stake out that area and explore that specific spot of Mars more. Finding a large body of water on Mars is very significant because basically water is lifeblood. It is what keeps us all alive. It's what grows plants. It definitely shows us that life could exist somewhere. And so obviously scientists believe that without water there can't be life. But I'd like to say that's as far as we know. If there is extraterrestrial life out there, which come on, there probably fucking is. How do we know what they need to survive? They could be completely different than humans. So saying that the conditions have to be a certain way or else life is impossible to exist is according to our set of rules down here on Earth. So basically they are pretty damn sure that this is a lake of some sort, but they can't be 100% sure without proof, obviously, and it's harder to get proof than you would think. If we try and send a rover out there to get samples, we'd have to make sure that it is capable of drifting through 1.5 kilometers of ice without contaminating the sample we take, and also we're not sure what we could bring to Mars from Earth that could contaminate Mars. And there's kind of a lot of debate right now between scientists. A lot of scientists want to go ahead and research this lake that we did find. A lot of them want to continue to look for more bodies of water like it before we start putting resources towards the one that we found, which makes sense because if they found one of them, chances are there's more of them. Another reason why this discovery is so interesting and important is because now we're able to look at Mars as a possible place to colonize because we wouldn't have to figure out how to bring our own water there. There's already water there. I mean, we're not sure if we can drink it yet, but it does show us that it might be more of a possibility than people think as of right now. Not only that, but it's also going to help us understand the history of Mars more, which there's probably so much to find. Polar ice caps change depending on the climate, which Earth is a great example of this happening right now. Our polar ice caps are melting. Studying these ice caps and the changes that occur in them could really help us get a better understanding of Mars' climate over the years and its history. So what's next on the agenda? Well, in July of 2020, the European Space Agency and the Russian Roscosmos State Corporation are going to be be launching a rover called ExoMars into Mars. The goal of this mission is to look for signs of past life on Mars. What if at one point all humans lived on Mars and then we fucked up Mars and we had to like go over to Earth? Possible, right? So why can't we drill down into the lake and take a sample of the water? We're currently nowhere near capable of drilling 0.9 miles down into Mars to get to the lake. So this probably won't happen in the near future. But in the meantime, they're really focusing on trying to find more bodies of water that are similar to this one. So I definitely would keep an eye out on Mars, people, in the next 5 years or so. Some crazy shit's gonna go down. Elon Musk is planning to go, and I'm just so excited to watch everyone learn more and more about Mars. I mean, think about where we could be in like 50 years. All the things that we can learn. Think about it, 50 years ago, we hadn't even been to the moon yet. So just think of all the things that are coming. But I wanna know what you guys think. Do you think there's life on Mars? If not, do you think there ever was life on Mars? Do you think there could be life on Mars one day? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear. But that's it for me today, guys. I will see you next time.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance to go dance at the Space Jam.